Welcome back to another Reddit reaction, boys and girls. As I always say, these are both my least favourite and favourite videos on the channel to make, because it is good fun to check out Reddit every now and then, but it's also one of the most toxic websites on the whole internet, and it is always a little bit of an eye-opener. Now, we are back on r/Battlefield2042 today, and the next month we'll be back on r/Battlefield. Now, before we get into it, I have to give a big shout out to my partners at Glitch Energy. Now, they've actually just released an entirely new formula. They've essentially, all the ones you guys can see in the back there, they're gone, and they've actually made a far healthier product than the one before, which that was already one of the healthiest on the market. But now they can essentially say it is the healthiest energy drink that you can find essentially anywhere. So be sure to go and check that out. They've got 7 flavors currently on there, and they will obviously start adding more and more as they go. Mine haven't quite arrived yet, so I'm very keen to try it out. And if you guys want to see my first review once I actually get it, I will post that on Twitter. Hopefully that can be up in the next couple of weeks. So be sure to check out glitchenergy.com. The link to that is down in the description. And if you guys want 20% off all of your orders, you can use code SAMMY at the checkout. But with that being said, let's set this to top post of the month, and let's see what we've got. The first one, Lars Mr. Battlefield Gustavsson is leaving DICE after 22 years working there. So this is the face behind Mr. Battlefield, if any of you have ever heard the name Mr. Battlefield. I believe he was the creative director for pretty much the whole time the franchise has been around. It says 22 years, and it's currently their 20-year anniversary, so I'm not sure how that works. I guess he was probably there, you know, it takes a few years to make the game, so he's probably there from the very first day and has essentially been on the franchise the entire time. And I'm kind of torn with this one. It's obviously sad to see him go. His name is literally Mr. Battlefield, what everyone refers to him as, so he's obviously very influential to DICE and EA and, you know, the franchise as a whole. And thinking back to all my favorite Battlefield games, he probably had a huge part in those. Obviously the creative director is essentially almost like the boss within DICE, I guess you would say. He wasn't the highest up at DICE, but he's essentially the one who's like directing everyone underneath him in all the different departments. So he has a huge role, or had a huge role I should say, and so it's obviously sad to see him go. But then on the flip side of that, it is also kind of exciting to see, you know, what happens next, because obviously the last few have been not as good as the previous Battlefield games. And as great as Lars was at his job, it's obviously, you know, everyone gets tired of it eventually, and eventually everyone's going to get sort of stale in the way that they do their job. And if you do something for 20 years, you're obviously going to slightly lose the love for it, and you're also going to be stuck in old habits and stuff like that. And so I think getting some fresh eyes in there is actually a really good thing. And obviously we've seen the changes with like Zampella and Marcus Leto and these really influential people coming in to work on Battlefield. So yeah, as sad as it is to see him go, I'm actually kind of excited too. Like it's a bit of a, you know, a happy moment and a sad moment at the same time. But I'm very keen to see, you know, who takes that role moving forward and what they can do with the franchise moving forward, with a bit of a different looking DICE and EA at the helm of, yeah, the future Battlefield games. It is what it is. COD Modern Warfare 2 beta, me, Battlefield 2042. This is me right now, I'm not going to lie. You guys will have seen I did a video, it would be last week now as this goes up, talking about Modern Warfare and kind of what it's going to mean for Battlefield 2042. Now, obviously, I still really enjoy 2042, but when there's a new shiny toy like a Modern Warfare 2 beta, that's essentially the only shooter that I've played in the last week or so. Haven't had as much time to be playing Battlefield lately, but then when the beta came out on the weekend, and it's actually out, it starts, the second weekend starts today as I'm recording this. As soon as that came out, that was when I finally had time to play Battlefield again. But then I thought, well, the beta's out, it's only out for a weekend, so I may as well play that. So this meme is actually very, very, very much me right now. But when the full game launches, I won't lie, I've seen enough from the beta. It's good fun, it's got a lot of really good elements, but I know I probably won't play the actual full game a whole lot. Probably will at launch, but for me Warzone 2 is the thing that I'm sort of gearing up for. So I'll probably play a heap at launch, try and level up a bunch of the weapons, and then hopefully, honestly, I never have to play it again, because Call of Duty to me now, it's good fun in little, you know, small doses, but when that's the main game that you're playing, it gets very frustrating compared to Battlefield. Battlefield's a bit more slower and less chaotic. You don't just die every 3 seconds. In Call of Duty, it's almost like kill, death, kill, death, kill, death. So beta's been a good bit of fun for me, but I know when the full game comes out, you know, I'll play it a little bit, but I know already, as good as the beta has been, I know I'm going to get sick of that game within a month of playing it. Former dev opinion of playing this game on console. This is Jacob. I don't know what role he used to have, but he used to work at DICE. He's very active on Twitter. I hope I pronounce it. I just say Jacob It sounds sounds easier to say. I don't know if it's pronounced differently, but I'm sure I got that wrong. He says, as a console player, playing against PC players is worse punishment than any clan stacking ever did. That's a big call. That's a big call. I personally don't think the whole PC versus console thing is... People make it out like it's this huge difference. Each of them have their pros and cons. I'm actually thinking of doing a video on this sometime in the future. I'm kind of almost waiting for this topic to blow up, because then I'll pounce when that happens. But I want to make a series, or a quick little like mini series of me playing on console, seeing how well I can do, me playing on PC, seeing how well I can do, and then essentially going through all the differences and stuff like that in the third video. Because for me personally, I have played a fair bit of time on both. I'm more a console player. Like, I would classify myself as a console player, but I used to play PC back in the day, and honestly, it's not that different. PC has a lot of positives. It generally runs a bit smoother, so, you know, more frames per second. Technically, that gives you an advantage. You see things slightly faster. And then obviously aiming with your whole arm compared to your thumb, you have a little bit more freedom and a bit more... It's a bit easier to sort of snap onto enemies and stuff like that. And then on the flip side, with controller, there is a little bit of aim assist there, obviously. And that makes it a little bit easier to stay on target once you're on target. So it's easier to, you know, snap to target with a PC, keyboard and mouse, I should say. But it's also easier to stay on target with the controller. So this whole topic of console players having a hard time against PC players, I can assure you guys, if you're getting shat on and you feel like it's just PC players, it probably isn't. It's probably just players who are very good at the game. There's very good players on console and there's very good players on PC. Generally, yes, PC players I do think are generally better, but that is because they are willing to spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a PC, when console players are generally spending, what, 500? The new consoles are like 750 in Australia. So anyone who's going to spend $3,000 on a PC, they're probably more of a hardcore gamer, and they're probably going to put way more hours into it and stuff like that. So that's kind of the reason I think PC players are better. And it's not because the PC's better, it's because they're probably more hardcore than console gamers, who I would say the vast majority of console gamers are a bit more casual. You plug it into the TV, you sit on the couch, you play some Battlefield. When you're playing on PC, you're at a desk like I am, you're sitting bloody a millimeter away from the monitor. You're a lot more like engaged in it, and it's a bit more, I guess, a bit more like serious. You take it a bit more serious when you've got a $3,000 to $5,000 PC. So this whole topic, for me, I don't necessarily agree with it. And again, this is coming from a console player. I'm not a PC player trying to defend PC players. I'm actually a console player, and I just don't think it's that big of an issue. But I will make a follow-up sort of mini-series on this. I'm just kind of waiting for... I want like aim assist to get buffed too much or nerfed too much, and the community has a big whinge about it, and then I think I'll pounce on that topic. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Imagine getting such an easy to verify detail like this wrong. What is this? What is the quality of this? What? Oh, they're opening it from the end instead of where he grabbed it. I'm gonna have to mute that because I'm gonna get demonetized. This is a kind of weird one because, like, while I do agree they could have probably done the research for that. And that looks like Battlefield 3, I think. Caspian Border, is it? I do kind of agree that it's like, come on, just get that right. But I also don't give a shit. It just doesn't matter. And for me personally, that looks way easier. So yeah, I'm kind of, those type of complaints, I do get it. You want it to be realistic, and it's like, come on boys, just do your research. I also just don't give a shit. It doesn't affect the game at all to me. Newly uncovered image of the Season 3 map. Oh man, that is the way that it's going by the looks of it. Although that's already manifest, but yeah, they love their shipping containers. Vince Zampella calling out DICE mistakes gives me hope for the next Battlefield. Vince Zampella acknowledges DICE just strayed a little too far from what Battlefield is with Battlefield 2042. They tried to do a couple things that were maybe ambitious, grow the player count, etc. I don't think they spent enough time iterating on what makes that fun. That's a very good quote from Vince. Those of you that know me will know I'm the biggest Vince Zampella stan of all time. He is the single best person that we could have at the helm of Battlefield moving forward. I'm not sure he'll have too much of an impact on 2042 because I'd imagine he's mostly going to be you know, working on the next game and, you know, the games after that. So not sure he'll really affect this game, but this guy absolutely knows what he's talking about. For those who don't know Vince Zampella, he was, I think, he was one of the founders, I believe, of Infinity Ward, who's obviously making Modern Warfare 2 now. They made all the original Modern Warfare games and stuff like that. I think he was on board for Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, the old ones. He then left and started, I don't know if he went straight to Respawn or if he had something in between, but then he eventually went to Respawn, which, looking at the time frame, I think, yeah, he would have gone straight to Respawn. He founded Respawn, or was one of the founders anyway, and he made the Titanfall games, which in terms of sales, they didn't actually do that well, but anyone who's played Titanfall knows they are very good games. They're really, really solid, and it's just that they were competing with essentially prime Call of Duty and prime Battlefield. That was when it was like Battlefield 4 was out, and it was like the Modern Warfare 3 era. So they were obviously never going to survive against those two games, but they were actually really good games. And then obviously he's been at the helm of Apex, which has essentially dominated the shooter landscape for the last few years. And then he's even done work on, you know, Jedi Fallen Order, and he's done plenty of stuff. And essentially everything that he's done, he's essentially never flopped. He's never made a game that is bad. Like every game that he made the Modern Warfare games, then the Titanfall games, which I guess monetarily maybe flopped, but very good games, and it turned into Apex, which definitely has not flopped. It's made billions of dollars. But the thing that he does really well is that it's not just about the money. It's not just that Apex has made billions of dollars. Those games have all been very fun, and he clearly knows how to make very good games and be at the helm. He's sort of always been the leader of making those games, so having him in this role moving forward is absolutely perfect. I've spoken about this on the podcast. If you guys aren't aware, I'm the co-host on the Battlefield show. The link to that is down in the description. But me and Sage over on the podcast, we literally simp about Vince Zampella every episode. Like, we can't stop talking about the guy. And we both said if there was one single person on this planet that we would choose before this happened, we actually called this out before it even happened. There's one person on the whole planet that we would want at the helm of Battlefield. We said Vince Zampella, and it actually happened. So this guy is hopefully gonna bring some very good things to Battlefield moving forward. He knows the shooter landscape really well. I think he knows enough about what Battlefield is, because a lot of the games he was making were competing with Battlefield. So I'm sure he knows a hell of a lot about like prime Battlefield, because he was making games trying to compete with those games. So he would have, at the time, been looking at Battlefield 3 and 4 and trying to figure out what made those games fun so that he could make his own games fun. So I think he's the right person to have at the head of Battlefield. And yeah, like this title says, it gives me hope for the next Battlefield, because I think he'll have a huge part to play in that. And like I said, until he makes a game that sucks, I'm going to absolutely back him in, because so far I think he's been at the helm of about 7 or 8 games now, and essentially every single one of them has been like really good. They've not only made a shitload of money, but they've also been just genuinely good games as well. So very, very happy to have Vince at the helm of Battlefield. With that being said though, guys, that is gonna do it for another Reddit reaction. Like I said, next month I'll probably go to r/Battlefield. Been a while since I've been over to that one. That one's usually a lot more memes, but there's been a few topics to talk about, so I thought I'd come to the more salty version of that subreddit. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, then definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you guys want to support the content that I make here on YouTube, then consider becoming a channel member. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.